Okay, guys, the H1B guy here, and today, the H1B guy live, 7 predictions for employment-based immigration benefits in 2021. But before we get started, I'd like to ask you, if you haven't already, to please subscribe to the H1B guy channel here on YouTube. It helps me to produce more content like this for you. I also wanted to mention the H1B guy offers a variety of consulting services. If I can provide you peace of mind by helping you bridge the gap between your employer and your immigration attorney, please reach out. I'd love to hear how I can help you. I also wanted to mention that the H1B guy has helped a variety of clients in the employer space with their work authorization, compliance, as well as third-party process audit and compliance. If I can help you, or if I can do any lunch and learns around work authorization, types, and what you can and can't work with, please reach out. I'd love to hear how I can help you. If you haven't already, please like this video. Would really helps here with the YouTube algorithm and promoting out this live stream. I wanted to also mention today's live stream is brought to you by RecruiterNetworks.com, the smart solution for digital perm ads since 2001. So today, I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen in the world of employment-based preferences for 2001. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the chat and I will get to them at the end of my predictions. Would love to have some interaction with all of you over the last 20 minutes or so of this stream here today. Just wanted to thank everyone who has taken the time to join me. Just really appreciate your support and checking out the H1B Guy channel here on YouTube. So without any further ado, let's just get right to it. We're going to go over the 7 immigration predictions that I have for employment-based preferences in 2021. The first that I have is that there's going to be very few executive actions from President Trump's term that will be rescinded concerning temporary foreign workers by newly appointed President Joe Biden. The reason why I'm saying this is that there's been a lot of speculation that Joe Biden's going to hit the ground running day one and look to overturn many of the over 400 executive actions that President Trump signed into law. You know, I would like to think that that was a lot of wishful thinking. The reason I say that is that President Trump's administration was pretty reckless down the stretch here as it relates to a lot of their executive actions. And the courts have made this a pretty easy option for President-elect Biden, which is simply just to not do anything. So first prediction there is very few executive actions from President Trump's term will be rescinded by President Biden. The second prediction that I have is that most consulates for the U.S. will not resume normal operations for visa stamping appointments until after April 1st of 2021. While there isn't a ban per se, getting appointments still appears to be a miracle for H1Bs and L1s as well as other temporary foreign workers. There isn't, again, the court rescinded that order, Judge Jeffrey S. White, that we've seen, and requiring, these consulates to provide a fair amount of documentation for the Department of State and travel.gov. But everything that I'm still hearing and seeing just really seems like there aren't appointments to be had. And if they are, they almost seem like they're a minor miracle. So again, I think that we will see most U.S. consulates resume normal operations after April 1st of 2021. The third prediction that I have is, I have been talking about this for the last few weeks. So this one should not really come as a surprise, but I believe that we will see new legislation introduced by July 1st of 2021. And I believe that that will include some prior language from HR 1044, S386. And as I've mentioned, I think we'll see the elimination of quota for country of birth and employment-based preferences. I think we will see the 50-50 rule for H-1B employers. I believe we'll also see the whistleblower rule. And the big one, and hear me out on this, is that I think we will see a revised transition for eliminating the green card backlog. So I don't think that we'll see the language that we saw in S386 around the 10-year transition. I think that that language is going to look a lot different. There was a lot of pushback on that language. And so I think we'll see a revised transition plan for eliminating the green card backlog. And then finally, I believe that we'll see protection for H-4 Dreamers included in this new legislation. So a very large immigration bill. The question becomes, will it be able to make its way through both the House and the Senate, as we've had some changeover in Congress? But again, as I've said, I said May or June. So I'm putting a date here that by July 1st of 2021, we'll see new legislation that will include some of the prior language from HR 1044 S386. If you haven't already, I'd like to ask you, please like this video. Please subscribe to the H1B Guy channel here on YouTube. And also click the bell for notifications if you haven't already done so. That will let you know anytime we go live here on this channel, and you're getting notified of any new posts as well. So moving on, the fourth prediction that I have is that I believe that sometime in the third quarter of fiscal year 2021, we will see H4 EAD premium processing become available. So again, sometime in the third quarter of fiscal year 2021, we will see H4 EAD premium processing come available. As a lot of you are aware, this announcement came out as part of the increase to the $2,500 premium processing fee. A lot of the reasons why this hasn't been an option is because of the backlog in H4 EAD processing, as well as others. As I've shared with you, I'm aware of some stories of folks that have been waiting, February, May, July, in their H4 EAD standard processing application. And so, hopefully this will help alleviate some of this fear and anxiety and burden for a lot of these H4 EADs that are currently working that could potentially lose work authorization. But I don't think that we're going to see the premium processing option around the H4 EAD come available until the third quarter of fiscal year 2021. So moving on to the fifth prediction that I have, and that is this. Quite frankly, I think USCIS will receive less than 200,000 HCAP petitions for fiscal year 2022. So again, why do I think that we're going to see, somewhere in the lines of 25,000 less H1B applications in the H1B lottery this year? Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the impact of COVID, but I still think that there may be fewer demand as of right now for new H1s, but again, you had 275,000 applications last year. You saw USCIS open the lottery back up in August. So I think a lot of signs are pointing to fewer new lottery cases for H1Bs heading into this year's upcoming lottery. Of course, we've had the adjustments as it's related to the wage for the H1B lottery and how it's going to be a selection based on sort of highest wage levels. So I think we'll definitely see fewer HCAP petitions for fiscal year 2022. Wanted to ask you guys just a reminder, if you are joining right now, if you have questions or comments, please feel free to leave those in the chat, and I will get to those at the end of my predictions here. Would love to have some Q&A and comments on if you think my predictions will be accurate or if I'm just far-reaching here. So moving on. So this is the sixth prediction that I have, and that is New wage level increase for H1Bs will be announced in August or September of 2021. So I still think this is something that we're going to see happen, even though the previous increase that was announced back in October was outrageous and really out of line, and you saw that immediately challenged. But I think that we will see some increase. Where I think we'll see the increase is going to be in those lower level, the level 1, 2, even 3 skill. You may see some minor adjustments as it relates to level 4. But just in terms of what my gut instinct is telling me, and that is that this wage level conversation and wage level increase had a lot of support on both sides. I think it's a popular theory and concept. I think that we will see growth in that space in terms of interest in increasing the wage levels. You know, it was in the news a lot over the last few months. So I think sometime heading towards the end of the fiscal year for 2021, you will see a new wage level increase that will be announced for H1B visas as it relates to the LCAs. So, okay, so that brings us to my final prediction for 2021. And this is a pretty bold prediction. We've seen that they have the capabilities to do this already. And that is, I believe that an all-new digital filing process will be announced for new and continuing employment for H-1B visas by the end of 2021. And that's the calendar year that I'm referring to. So again, an all-new digital filing process will be announced for new and continuing employment for H-1B visas by the end of 2021. So why do I think that's a possibility? Well, if you go back to the H-1B lottery of last year, which was the first to go digital, electronic filing, if you will, and then we've seen on the H2 side, they've gone to an electronic filing system. I think that when we start to look at what are some ways that they can increase processing and adjudication times, a lot of it to me points back to this digital electronic filing process. As we've seen, they have capabilities to do it through the lottery. So I would imagine that over the last 12 months, as they've done that this year, and they're going to be doing that again in the upcoming lottery, that now they've learned from that experience, and that they should be able to implement this on a much larger scale for all H-1Bs going forward. But as I said, I don't think that we would see that until the end of 2021. So that wraps up my 7 predictions. I know I went through those pretty quickly, but I just wanted to get out today live with all of you and go over these predictions. I could have done this in a long form format, but it just didn't feel right. So I wanted to put these out live and do Q&A, kind of have a back and forth with everyone here. So just to repeat my 7 predictions for employment-based immigration benefits in 2021. And they are, first, I think we'll see very few rescissions from President Biden concerning temporary foreign workers in his first 100 days. The second, U.S. consulates will not resume normal activity until after April 1st. We'll see new immigration legislation by July 1st, 2021. H4 EAD premium processing will become available in the 3rd quarter of fiscal year 2021. So that puts it somewhere between April, May, and June in terms of the time frame on the H4 EAD premium processing becoming available. The 5th prediction is that we'll see less than 200,000 HCAP petitions for fiscal year 2022, and that would be by April 1st of this upcoming year. 6th, as I mentioned, we'll see a wage level increase announced by September of 2021. And then last, digital filing for all H-1B visas by the end of year for 2021. So that wraps up our 7 predictions for employment-based immigration benefits. If you have any questions, have any comments, please go ahead and drop those here in the chat. We've got a bunch of them already. I'd like to ask you if you please like this video. I know that there are a lot of you that tune in. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the H1B Guy channel here on YouTube. I also wanted to promote, join the H1B Guy channel on Telegram. Follow the H1B Guy on Twitter. So those are ways that you can connect with me. Of course, you can find me on LinkedIn. I also have the H1B Guy page on Facebook. So listen, there's a lot of ways for you guys to connect with me. I just would love to hear from you all, and really just appreciate all of the support that I've gotten, really over the last 6 weeks. The growth for the H1B Guy channel here on YouTube, the website, it's just been so awesome to see, and just really so humbling. So just thank all of you. I hope as we begin to start looking at turning the page for 2020, this will be the last H1B Guy post for 2020. No post tomorrow, but of course, we have Friday, which is January 1st, 2021. So we're going to do the H1B Guy news for our first post of 2021, and we're just not going to look back here. I've got a lot of things that I'm working on that I'm really excited about, that I'm not quite ready to announce yet. But I just want all of you to know that I'm just going to work to bring content for all of you that, one, hopefully tells your story, tells the story of others, so that we can bring awareness to these problems, that we can continue to create jobs for Americans as well as millions of others around the world, right? And so that's one of the things that we're going to continue to make a goal here for the H1B Guy channel in 2021. Of course, I am going to continue to champion a merit-based point system, and just hope that people will listen and understand why it's good for everybody, why it is mutually beneficial reform. So again, if you haven't already, please like this video. Thank every one of you for taking the time to join me here today. Just really appreciate all of your support. So with that being said, we are going to move into the Q&A. Again, if you guys have Q&A, I've got a few here, but definitely want to do a few more. So now's the time to go ahead and put those questions or comments in. I'll do 4 or 5 really quickly, and then I'll recap what my predictions were for those who may be joining us late. But here, let's just start here. Hey, Samir, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Robert, my wife has her H4 EAD expiring December 2021 due to my H1B pending extension at the same time. My question is it better to get my H1 extended and make a trip to India than do H4 EAD? Okay, so, or just get it extended while I'm here in the US. Okay. And then one continuation here, as the H4 EADs are very hard to come by fast enough nowadays, do I think it will be faster once Biden takes over? So as I mentioned to you earlier, Samir, let's just go back to your first question, which is it better to get my H1 extended and make a trip to India than do H4 EAD? I don't know when you're planning to leave the country, but I wouldn't leave the country at least into the foreseeable future. If you're thinking of maybe the end of year 2021, I think that probably would be a more likely possibility for you. I am assuming you filed your H1B extension in regular processing. So you're probably looking at about, I'd say 6 months in terms of the adjudication of that, I believe is what some of the current regular processing times are. So whenever that date was, that receipt was filed, right? Confirmation of receipt by USCIS, I would add 6 months to that, and that should give you an idea of when you should have some sort of update on your case. I would imagine that you need to have your H1 extended by that time in order to file your spouse's I-765. So really getting the approval first for you and then filing her I-765 would be how I would handle it. And hopefully my prediction of H4 EAD premium processing would be available by April. Or as I said, Q3 of 2021. So Samir, I think what I would do here is I would backtrack. If you have that, know what your filing date is. Let's add 6 months to that. You should have some sort of update by then. Hopefully it's an approval, which would then trigger, the next step, which is using your approval and your previously approved I-140 to file your wife's I-765, which would grant her H4 EAD work authorization. Although she currently has work authorization, if her H4 EAD expires while she is still working, as many of you are aware, she can no longer work. Must have card in hand in order to continue work authorization and gainful employment. So this is the cat and mouse game that's being played right now by USCIS. Do I like it? Nope. But it's just the facts. I mean, as I've alluded to, I heard some horror stories of July, and then I read earlier last week about some folks that have been waiting February on I-765 regular processing for H4 EADs. Those individuals have definitely lost any work authorization that they had. And if they were working, they lost their job because their case wasn't adjudicated fast enough. And it's sad. It's really sad. So, hi, Laksh. How you doing? Really appreciate you taking the time to join me here today. Good to see new faces on the H1B Guy live streams. I've been so excited to meet so many new people, really, through these live streams over the last several months. I've got a lot in store to do more of these live streams. We're going to continue to do the Stamp It Outs. I'm working on a couple of other series that I'm not quite ready to announce yet, but they are in the process for 2021. So just a lot going on here behind the scenes in the H1B Guy world. And again, I can't do it without new folks, new faces like you, Laksh. So thanks for taking the time to join in here today. If you have any other questions, please go ahead, throw those in the comments in the chat. I'm scrolling through them here. So, and prediction for Robert, at least 200 subscribers by mid 2021. Wish you a very happy and prosperous new year. Sorry, you meant 2000. Well, listen, I looked earlier today before I jumped on. I was somewhere around 765, I believe. So, I go back to Thanksgiving and I was at 450. So I am ever closer to that 1,000. We've talked about it a lot here on this channel. My first goal is 100, then 500, now 1,000. So Samir, what I'll do is I'll take you up on that. I will see that 1,000 hopefully sometime in the very near future. But I can't do it without folks who are watching that aren't subscribed. So this is a great time for me to ask you to subscribe to the H1B Guy channel here on YouTube. And what I mean by take you up on that, Samir, is that once I get to that 1,000, the goal is then we'll get to 1,500 and then we'll get to 2,000. I just want to continue to talk about employment-based preferences as it relates to immigration. I want to bring equality for those that are stuck in the green card backlog. I want to advocate for H4 dreamers. I want to talk about why the H1B visa employee is not the enemy. That they fill, in many cases, very niche, unique skills. I'm not saying that H1B visa holder skills are better than the average Americans. They're not. They're just trained differently. And so what we need to realize is that when we're all in this together, right, which is about growing jobs and growing our society, making a better future for our kids and our legacy, that's what this platform is intended to be. So thanks so much, Samir, for your support, man. I just always appreciate it. And, looking forward to a prosperous 2021 for you and your family. And as hopefully we can reduce some of that anxiety as it relates to, your dependents, your spouse here in this situation with the H4 EAD and your dreamer daughter. So Hey Rajesh, good to hear from you. How long will USCIS? How long would USCIS take to issue EAD for applications submitted last 2 months? Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of these in the 6 month or longer range. A lot of times when things were normal, right? Normal, okay. When things were normal, uh, EADs were the fastest I ever saw one approved was about 60 days. I think that I've heard of some that were approved in 45 day time frames. But 90 days minimum. So double that, right? I think you're looking at 180 days is kind of the benchmark, Rajesh. And if it happens before that, then I think that's a good thing, right? So right now, expect it to take longer than it ever has, right? Is the point. And so if you filed that October 30th of 2020, I mean, you're looking at May. Pretty crazy to think about that. But it's the truth. And I think until things resume normalcy in terms of how cases are adjudicated and processed, until we see more automation in terms of digital filings, we're still going to be stuck in these long waits. And these long waits in terms of just general petitions that are being filed. It's just really crazy. But, USCIS is not without finding itself in the news, the budget deficits and, what they've gone through in terms of their offices being closed and all of the news in the U.S. consulates and everything that goes around that. So, listen, this is not something that's gonna change overnight. It's not going to change on January 20th. We're going to continue to see these slow processing times. So, if your spouse who's on H4 EAD is coming up on renewal and waiting on you to get your renewal and approval, yeah, you've got to be on it. I mean, I think this might be one of those times, if I were an H1B, even if I were a perm employee, and I've been with my same employer for several years, this may be one of those times, if I have the means to do so and my employer's not willing to pay for it, that I drop the $2,500 on premium processing just to get that 3-year approval, get it quickly. I know, Rajesh, this isn't available for you, but I'm just, kind of referring to Samir's case and in general. I think right now, if it's an option and you have the capital to do it, I think that's why it's an option, is to go ahead and get that peace of mind. And then that helps trigger the I-765 filing for your H4 dependent. Hey, Pradeep, thank you for joining me today. Really appreciate you taking the time to check out my stream, the Cartman GIF there. Love it. What is the prediction for EB2 I and EB3I final action date for fiscal year 2021? That's a good question. I mean, I think a lot of people have been asking me, are filing dates going to be accepted? Are final action dates going to be accepted? What's going to be accepted here? And I think, that's the question. But right now, and I answered this on Twitter yesterday, and that is, I don't think that they're going to take filing dates any further. I think that window of time was October and November, and poof. Which goes back to a lot of the conversations we were having in October, which was to wait and let's see what happens. Let's understand what rapid forward movement really means. And then we saw what it meant. It meant that you got 60 days and then it regressed a year in filing. And so I think that just is, ultimately the tell. And the tell is that it's going to be final action dates. How far do I think that's going to move? for fiscal year 2021. So you're talking about between now and the end of September. I mean, as I talked about yesterday on the H1B Guy grades, it feels like that these visa bulletins that we're going to receive over the next several months are just going to inch in 7, 14, 21, and 30-day increments. It doesn't feel like you're going to see a 60 or a 90-day jump. I could be wrong in that, but it doesn't feel like it to me. I don't know. What do you think, Pradeep? Do you think we're going to see a big leap? Because I have a feeling that we're going to be at the end of next year, 2021 calendar year, okay? And we're still going to be talking about EB2 and 2010. I hope I'm wrong, but it doesn't feel that way, right? And it doesn't feel that way because look at the data, look at the timelines of the visa bulletins and how they've moved forward. There hasn't been much of it, right? And so, again, that tells me that they're going to accept those filing dates for the adjustment of statuses. So those that got it in that window, 12 months from that filing date, should be hearing something on your adjustment of status. If you waited, I don't think you missed an opportunity because I think we'll see movement. Again, as I said, though, 2010, that really isn't what you want to hear. That's not the type of movement I'm talking about. But what I think is once this administration has 12 months, once you see that new legislation come through in July, then you'll begin to see a change in the EB2 India and EB3 India, final action dates. So what do you think, Pradeep? Let me know if you're still on the stream. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Bring it up and we can hash it out. My employer does premium each time, so the only issue I'm not sure are they willing to do the H4 premium. Well, here's the deal, Samir. I'm glad you brought this up. As long as you're willing to pay for it, your employer doesn't really have a say in this H4 EAD premium processing option. Yeah, they have to let the attorney know, but if your employer is not willing to pay for it, then you can enter into an agreement with your employer's attorney, you and them, on this premium processing fee. Another way that your employer could do it is, of course, you can write them a personal check to your employer, as crazy as that sounds, but legally you can do that to pay for the H4 EAD fee. Or they could do it through payroll deduction, withholding, $20 a week out of your paycheck or $50 a week out of your paycheck, as long as what they withhold doesn't drop you below the prevailing wage determination threshold. They can withhold wages from you to account for these filing fees if you don't want to write them a check. So you've got options, but the option is once you hear premium processing is an option for H4 EADs, and once you have your H1B approval, man, it sounds like to me that $2,500 would be well spent and would give you peace of mind because, as you say, your only concern is you don't want her to lose her job. If I make a trip, will you get a stamp so directly we can file our H4 EAD? But you're right, it's not great to travel as anything can happen with USCIS. Samir, you've been on a big part of this channel for a while, right? Also, any chance to provide leeway in H4 EADs with a 180-day grace period? Is there anyone working on that? Any lawmaker? Yeah, I mean, that's kind of in that early filing discussion, and can that be lumped in, right? Where there's an early filing and case is still pending, are they allowed to continue work authorization past the expiration of 180 days? I'd love to see legislation like that, but ultimately it's that's a big one. I mean, that to me, that's fairness, that's grace. That what that does is it doesn't create anxiety, it doesn't create fear of losing their job because USCIS, who's responsible for processing immigration petitions, can't get that done in a timely manner. But yeah, I mean, I think I would, if I were you, I just would, as soon as that premium processing becomes an option, if and when it does, work with your employer, ask them to upgrade that, the I-765, if you're filing that through your employer. But if they're paying for your H4 fees and you're not paying for them, then that's awesome. There's a lot of employers out there that just don't do that. They definitely pass those dependent fees down to their employees. So, oh, okay, 767. That's good. Inching ever closer to 800. YouTube is a grind. I mean, I've seen some other channels recently that started well after I did, that rose very quickly. But I'm just going to keep doing what I do, and I don't care about what anyone else does. As I've mentioned, I don't really watch immigration content on YouTube. I read a lot of articles on the web, a lot. I comment a lot. I love reading immigration articles. So if you guys find good ones and I haven't talked about it, please share them with me, the H1B Guy at gmail.com. Of course, Twitter, Telegram. Love to look at content that others have written so that I can read, use the data for my opinion. But well, cool. Hopefully, if I can get a couple of more subscribers today during the live stream, we can jump up and we can get ever closer to that 800 number. Rajesh, thanks for your time and helping our community. No, man, thank you for joining me on this stream, right? I mean, I think this has become a very popular post that I do, right? The H1B Guy Live. I know the unedited, unscripted Q&A series. Of course, this is kind of like that, but I wanted to just put my 7 predictions out for 2021 in live format today versus having it scripted. I will post those predictions on the h1bguy.com so you all can read them and go through them. And it also, this is a good reminder. One of the things I want to start pushing in 2021, if you haven't, are subscribing to the website on the h1bguy.com. I haven't done anything with my subscribers on that website yet, but I am going to. And I have some plans to do some exclusive stuff for those subscribers on the website. So if you haven't already, go click subscribe on the website on the About Me section of the website. And I'm going to start sometime in 2021. You'll start seeing some exclusive posts for those subscribers that are on the website. Yeah, Cartman's always funny, Pradeep. That's a good one. So, Robert, any chance of another spillover of family-based EB, at least for people working like in medical fields? Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that's been talked about, right? You know, in the S3599 discussions, it being included as part of the COVID relief. There were some discussions with it in the HEROES Act, HEROES Act 2 specifically. And I had Dr. Raj on last week, and a lot of people have just absolutely loved the video, the H1B Guy Live Stamp It Out 7 with Dr. Raj Karnatak, where it just tells a very gut-wrenching story of someone who's on the front lines of the pandemic and kind of the fear and anxiety that they go through. So I think that story, as it's being told, because COVID is the flavor of the month still, we're still battling this pandemic. These numbers are continuing to be in the several thousands. So I think the time is right for H1Bs in the medical space. So I think you could see some spillover designated for them in 2021. I will be honest, I don't know the spillover data that well. If any of you do or want to share it with me, I'd love to take a look at it if you know where to find it. But yeah, I mean, I think as always, there's always a possibility of spillover. So hopefully, that will be part of the resolution as it comes to solving some of the backlog. Samir, thanks. I never thought that is legal, or I should even ask about that. We'll inquire today with my legal team. It's totally worth it, Robert. No doubt. Yeah. And what Samir is referring to there, guys, is paying for the H4 EAD premium processing when it comes available. Because there are only a few fees that your employer can legally pass down to you when you're working for them on an H1B visa. And so what are those fees that they can legally pass down to you? Well, it's not the filing fees. It's not the attorney's fees. But what they can are your dependent fees, right? Just the H4 fee in general, and then the premium processing fee for you, and if it were available for the H4 EAD for your dependent. They cannot deny you. That is your right to request premium processing. If you are willing to pay for it, you can legally do so. So it's a good thing for you to keep in mind. And that goes for any premium processing, not just for H4 EAD, not just for H1B extensions, amendments, material changes. That goes for the I-140 if it's available, as well as just any other options in terms of filings that have premium processing as an option. Okay, you can request that as long as you were willing to pay for it on your own and be charged back. They cannot deny you that request. So yeah, I mean, I think the point here is that it's about peace of mind, right? What does that cost you? Is it worth $2,500? I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. That number seems outrageous. $1,225 to me was outrageous. But again, USCIS and their fee-based model, they're looking for ways as they ramp up their cybersecurity and a lot of the other divisions that the legal and filing fees support. That's why you're seeing these increases. They don't run at the deficit they have if they've been conservative with their budget. And I think the proof is that they haven't. So what is the impact if I change employer before 180 days while waiting for EAD? Thanks and wish you a wonderful 2021. Okay, so Rajesh, I hope you're still on because I want to ask you a quick question and hopefully you can type it in the chat. I'm going to ask you this question first, and then I'm gonna try to answer the question while you answer it. I need to know what kind of EAD you're on. If it's EAD GC or what type. Okay. So I'm assuming that you've submitted your EAD extension. You did that about 60 days ago. You're probably expiring in 4 months, is my guess. Because 6 months seems to be about the right time to submit those, which goes back to, as I said earlier, these processing times are taking about 6 months. So if you don't get that done before the 6 month mark, there is this jeopardy here. But I'm of the opinion, no matter what your situation is, EAD, H1B, unless there is a reason for you to change employers right now, I would wait until I have approval. Once you have approval, then you've got some flexibility, right? You have that work authorization at least into, the next 24 months or so. But yeah, I mean, I guess my advice to you, if I'm calculating this the right way, Rajesh, is that I would wait to make this move once you have approval, which is probably end of April, beginning of May. As crazy as that sounds, but that's just my advice. I mean, that's my conservative advice to you. Especially if you're past your expiration and you're in the early filing or sort of that grace period. So okay, so Pradeep says, thank you for your time and info. My priority date is January 2011, and I was not able to file due to job transition. Do you think we will reach the date in fiscal year 2021? Okay, so again, fiscal year 2021 will end September 30th, 2021. Right now, as we've talked about, I mean, and we covered, I mean, we're still October, what? Is it October 8th, 2009 was the January bulletin? So you're a year and 2 months, roughly. I mean, you could be right on that line, Pradeep. As I said, I mean, I think we would see a full year movement. So 2010 is what I said earlier in the stream. Yeah, you could be right on that line of seeing January 2011 called. Now, I'm assuming you're an EB2, right? And so really would like to see those final action dates called. And again, what we may see is we may see some status quo, meaning 7, 14, 21, 30-day increments in the first quarter of the calendar year, second quarter of the fiscal year, and then you may see some rapid movement. Listen, they've got to address the problem. The elephant in the room is not going to go away. And what is the elephant in the room? And it's this 1.2 million list of folks standing in a line waiting for their number to be called. And so, yeah, I guess, Pradeep, if I can give you some hope, I think you're right on that line. Yeah, I do. Now, whether it's fiscal year 2021 or calendar year, I think that's two different things. Okay. For your number to be called by the end of September of 2021, I would feel more comfortable saying probably in December at some point. So, well, wanted to ask you, if you haven't already, please like this video. If you have any questions or comments, I think I've gone through all of them that I have in the queue. But if there's any more, if anyone else is still on, if you have anything else that you'd like for me to cover, I've got a couple more minutes here of time. Probably going to wrap this up in the next few minutes, but definitely want to make sure that I've answered everyone's questions or comments. For those of you who may be joining the stream late, I wanted to just go over again really quickly my 7 predictions for employment-based immigration benefits for 2021. So here they are. First of all, I'm going to say very few rescissions from President Biden concerning temporary foreign workers in his first 100 days in office. Second, U.S. consulates will not resume normal activity until after April 1st of 2021. Third prediction, that we will see new legislation by July 1st. And as I've said, I think that this will include a variety of some of the spillover language from HR 1044, S386. The fourth prediction is that H4 EAD premium processing will become available in the third quarter of fiscal year 2021. So again, that's April, May, or June. The fifth prediction is that less than 200,000 HCAP petitions will be received by USCIS for fiscal year 2022. The sixth prediction is that wage level increases will be announced by September of 2021. And then the last prediction is that digital filing for all H1B visas will be available by end of year 2021. Okay. Can we invite someone as a guest from advocacy groups such as Immigration Voice? As maybe I am mistaken, but I've never heard directly from anyone from them. That makes 2 of us. I would love to have one of them on, but I don't feel the need to approach them about it. If they are truly an immigration voice, I think they'd want to come on the H1B Guy platform and tell why they've been successful in raising the hundreds of thousands of dollars they have and where those dollars are going to go. If I've donated money to them, which indirectly I have, I'd like to know where my money's going. I'm sure you do too. So if they're interested in coming on this platform, I would definitely welcome the opportunity to speak with one of them. But listen, they have 30,000 followers on Twitter. They don't need the H1B guy to tell their story. They'll do it through their tactics, in their own measures. But if anybody knows anyone from IV, I'd love to talk to them. I am definitely working with a couple of other advocacy groups, a little more grassroots than Immigration Voice. And hopefully we'll have them on sometime in the next few months. So look for that. And as I said, I've got a lot planned, Samir, in terms of having some other guests on to continue to tell the story and talk about what's going to be done leading into, the 117th Congress in 2021. Okay, so H1. Okay. So submitted in November. So, okay, so you're on an H1, but you submitted an H4 EAD, Rajesh? I did, and that's why I wanted to know too. Yeah, listen, I mean, I think at the end of the day, if you're going to take money, you want transparency. And so, to me, we've talked about where's your power? Your power's in numbers, your voice, and then your dollars. And when you contribute those hard-earned dollars, you want to know where they're going. Um, I will tell you and hold this up. So this is when you contribute to the H1B Guy platform, it helps me to upgrade my equipment, right? And so, as I've told you guys, a lot of you out there, I started this with a Chromebook and an iPhone. I have been able to upgrade piece by piece my equipment. I'm going to continue to do so. I'm still working on the lighting. I have great natural lighting in this room, but unfortunately, it's like overexposure. And so I'm working on that. Next step is better cam. But right now, I've got to make do with what I've got because I need more clients. I need more customers. I need more advertising dollars here on this channel, and I'm working on that. And I can't do it without all of your support. So how can you support me? Of course, if you feel led, you can help produce the show. There's means to do so in the description of this video. But really, if you can't contribute to the H1B Guy platform, I want you guys to know that you can help me by liking my content, by sharing my content, by subscribing if you haven't already, by telling your friends, your family, but most of all, just interacting with me and challenging me to put content out for you guys that you want to hear me talk about. And so thanks to all of you who have given me a lot of suggestions over the last few weeks. Know that that is in the queue for 2021. Thanks. It makes sense. And it's been a decade-long wait. Yeah, man. 2011. So I'm going to guess, Rajesh is someone that came somewhere in 2008, 2009 to the U.S. It's a long time to be living and working as a temporary foreign worker, paying taxes, standing in a long line for permanent residency that, you really haven't seen, a lot of light at the end of the tunnel, right? And so, yeah, I mean, I think you're in that window. As I've talked about, I have a good friend of mine that is like May 2012, and when those filing dates jumped, he is like, "Do I need to do that?" Or he's like, "I'm good where I'm at. I'm going to continue to do what I do into the foreseeable future. You think I should just ride it out?" And I told him, "Yeah." And then we saw the regression by December, which again, he didn't say, "Hey, you were wrong on." He just said, "Listen, I knew what the risk was. I knew if I waited that was a risk that I'm going to take." And so there's a lot of folks that have been able to take advantage of that, which is awesome. I'm so happy for you, and I can't wait to hear about when you're going to receive that notice 12, 14 months from when that was received. So if there's any other comments or questions, get them in now in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to start to wrap it up here as we're coming up on an hour. But I wanted to just go back and Samir, thanks for all your comments and your support. Lach, nice to have you join me here today. Really appreciate you taking the time to check out the stream. Rajesh, thank you so much for your support and taking the time to check out the stream and joining me here today. Pradeep as well, thank you for your questions and your support. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me here today. Just really appreciate, you guys and your interaction and taking the time. So anyway, with that being said, what I want to do now is go ahead and let you guys know that today's live stream was brought to you by RecruiterNetworks.com, the smart solution for digital perm ads since 2001. This national job board network provides recruitment websites in 1,024 major U.S. metro areas. Each local job board is its own portal and is a low-cost resource for immigration recruitment ads for all industries and professions with a flat price of $225 per ad, regardless of which city you choose. RecruiterNetworks.com has been the #1 place for immigration attorneys, immigration ad agencies, and employers to meet the DOL requirements for the digital portion of the perm advertisement rules. RecruiterNetworks.com. Tell them the H1B guy sent you. So with that being said, I want to wish each and every one of you a very happy new year, wishing you a prosperous 2021. There is no doubt that our world has changed, and that I'm really looking forward to what 2021 has in store for the H1B Guy platform and for each and all of you as we continue to fight and speak out on equality, as we continue to talk about H1B reform and how it can be mutually beneficial for everyone. And so with that being said, I'd like to ask you, please join the H1B Guy channel and subscribe to it on Telegram. Please follow me on Twitter. If you haven't, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, follow the H1B Guy on Facebook. But from my family to yours, Happy New Year. Wishing you all a prosperous 2021. And just wanted to say thank you. If you've made it this far, I just really appreciate your support. If you haven't already, like this video, subscribe to the H1B Guy channel here on YouTube, and click the bell for notifications so that you're notified anytime we go live or post new content here to this channel. The H1B Guy, your global source for all things H1B.